How did Donald Trump really make his money? It's a question that's been floating around for decades, right? Well, today we're going to follow the paper trail, from his very first real estate deals all the way to the White House, to try and piece together the real story of his fortune. Okay, so we've all heard this line. It's practically his catchphrase. It's totally central to his brand. But let's be real. A catchphrase isn't a balance sheet. So today, we're going to look past the talk and really follow the numbers to see how that wealth was actually built. And that really is the central question, isn't it? The popular story is pretty simple. A real estate guy takes on Manhattan and wins big. But as we're about to see, the true story is way, way more complex. It has multiple acts and, honestly, a very interesting beginning. So first up, the foundation. The story of Donald Trump's fortune doesn't actually start with him. Nope, it starts with his father, Fred Trump, a really successful developer in his own right, who basically built the financial launchpad for his son's entire career. This is the number that became famous. During his first campaign, Trump often told the story of getting a small $1 million loan from his dad. It's a simple, really powerful story, right? Just a little boost to go out and build an empire. But this is where the public story and, the actual financial records start to go in different directions. That $1 million loan, turns out it was just the tip of the iceberg in a deep, decades-long financial relationship between father and son. The financial support was, it was systematic and it was substantial. A major New York Times investigation that dug into tax records found that Trump was already a millionaire by the time he was 8 years old, thanks to trust funds. His dad reportedly set up hundreds of different revenue streams just to funnel wealth his way. So this wasn't just a small loan. It was the absolute bedrock his entire career was built on. All right, so with that foundation pretty secure, Trump steps into the Manhattan spotlight to build his own brand. This next phase of his career really rests on two very different but equally important pillars: good old-fashioned real estate and something new, reality TV. Now, this slide shows a really key shift in his business strategy. While he definitely owns properties, his most valuable asset became his name. He figured out he could make millions just by licensing the Trump brand to other developers. Think about it. He got all the profit and prestige without taking on the huge financial risk of actually owning the building. Pretty clever. But his fame and fortune weren't just built on steel and glass. In the early 2000s, he made a move that would completely redefine his public image and inject a massive amount of cash into his bank accounts. This took him from being just a New York real estate name to a global celebrity. And here it is. This number is just staggering. The Apprentice was a total phenomenon. It didn't just make him a TV star. It cemented that master businessman persona in everyone's minds, and it directly paid him almost $500 million. It was an absolute financial game changer for him. So the next chapter saw Trump merge his brand with politics. And entering the White House, that opened up a whole new and pretty controversial set of financial opportunities, where his business empire and his public office would really start to intersect. During his 4 years as president, Trump stayed the head of his business empire, which reported over $1.6 billion in revenue. His businesses charged the Secret Service for rooms, took in millions from his own political committees, and even received payments from foreign governments staying at his hotels. Okay, so after leaving office, this leadership PAC, which is a type of committee politicians often use to raise money, became a financial powerhouse. Right after the 2020 election, it started fundraising like crazy, asking supporters to donate to an election defense fund, and raised $250 million in just a couple of months. So where did all that donor money go? Well, this breakdown is pretty revealing. While the PAC was set up for political activities, a massive chunk of the money, we're talking over $90 million, was actually used to pay the legal bills for Trump and his allies. So, what's the final tally here? After the inheritance, the real estate, the TV brand, and all the political fundraising, what is Donald Trump actually worth? As you might have guessed by now, the answer is complicated. The estimates of his net worth are all over the place. They vary dramatically. Financial news outlets like Bloomberg and Forbes, who've been tracking his assets for decades, put his fortune somewhere between $5 and $7 billion. Trump himself, he claims it's over $10 billion. That's a multi-billion-dollar gap. And here, in his own words from a sworn deposition, we get a little insight into why there's such a discrepancy. Trump argues that his net worth isn't just about assets and debts. He says it's also tied to the value of his brand and how people perceive it, which he describes as fluctuating with markets, attitudes, and, yeah, even his own feelings. So you can think of it like a giant balancing act. On one side, you have this huge portfolio of assets, real estate, golf courses, you name it. But on the other side, there's a significant amount of debt. Reports show over $1 billion owed to different creditors. Now, this question of valuation isn't just some academic debate. It became the absolute center of a major fraud trial in New York, where a court actually found him liable for illegally exaggerating his net worth for years, all to get better terms on loans. And that leaves us with this final question. Trump's financial story is a truly modern one, where the value of a brand can be just as important as a skyscraper, and where celebrity and political power can become financial assets themselves. It really challenges all of us to think about how we even define and measure wealth in the 21st century.